Good morning, YouTube. Recent debate came up over an incident with an officer-involved shooting where the suspect had one of these, not this knife in particular, but a knife in general. And I remember seeing a lot of the comments on Facebook and basically going after the officer saying, well, it's only a knife. Why didn't the cop just shoot the knife out of his hand, and some other useless stupidity in such a way as that it's only a knife. You know, he could have disarmed him, he could have tased him, why did he have to shoot him? And these are people that I truly believe are too stupid to understand, and I use that word quite liberally, stupid, to understand how damaging a knife can be to someone and how fast you can be stabbed with a knife. Now, a lot of people hear of the old, what they call the 21-foot rule. And people don't really know where that came from. It came from a Salt Lake City police sergeant named Dennis Tueller. And the actual law enforcement drill is called the Tueller drill. And what that is that they determined that a suspect armed with a knife can cover a distance of 21 feet, which is 7 yards, which is why the 7-yard line exists during practice. For personal defense. That's why that 7-yard line is there. The 7-yard line, and that a suspect armed with a knife can cover that 7 yards in 2 seconds. Some have it as fast as 1.5, but let's just go with 2 seconds. Now I want you to just stop and count to 2. Ready? That's the time someone can cover at a run the distance of 7 yards armed with a knife and get to you. Now I want you to think how quick. Again, let's count to 2. Ready? That's the time you would have to take your gun from your holster and fire a shot at that person, hopefully disabling them, knocking them down, killing them, whatever. Now think, that's a lot to think about. And that's why that drill exists. And if you don't think someone with a knife can do a lot of damage to you in that time period, you're dead wrong. So, again, this is one of those things where a knife like this, or even a smaller knife, all he's got to do is, he might not have to stab you in the heart, the chest, or whatever. He could get your head. He could stab you in the neck, the back. You know, he doesn't have to kill you, at least not right away. I mean, you could, one or two good stabs slice your throat. You know, I have, most people might not have seen someone stabbed. I have. I've seen someone stabbed before, up close, and it's not a pretty picture. It's not a pretty sight. And it doesn't, people think it takes so much to do with a knife. No, it doesn't. Especially if a person is determined, angry, on drugs, on alcohol, whatever. It does not take as much as people think it does. So again, this is one of those things where, okay, what do you do? Well, you practice. And I mean, if you carry concealed carry, if you carry a handgun for personal defense, if you even just personal defense in general, you don't even have to have a gun. Have that mindset of, if someone is standing right in front of you, especially if they have a knife or they're close, back up and get distance between you and that person, especially if they're very close. If they're very close to you, within, say, 2 or 3 feet or 4 or 5 feet, you're probably not going to have a chance to put your hands up before anything happens. If you do, you're going to be very quick about it. And that's where good personal defense skills and personal defensive tactics comes in, of getting out of this person's way, trying to get the knife away from them. Just basically, you're trying to protect yourself. A lot of times, if they're very close, you're going to be more likely to try to take the knife away from somebody, or get away from them, or disarm them with your bare hands, long before that gun comes out. But again, I mean, it's one of those things where you can't read every situation. But that was one of those things that was documented and researched and studied, and it's been part of law enforcement training for many, many years. And what I would suggest too is, if anyone is ever involved with, say, a defensive shooting, Make sure, for God's sake, if your defense attorney doesn't know it, that you know it. Dennis Tueller, and it's Tueller, and that study, that someone with a knife can close it, and it's a documented study. It's been that way it's very old. It's almost 30 years now. Make sure that that is well known to whoever's defending you, because the judge might not know it. I guarantee the prosecutor probably wouldn't care to look it up. But that's one of those things. Make sure that you know these things. But your best bet is just not to get involved in these situations in the first place. But still, practice. This is where people with personal offense, they tend to practice the 1 yard, the 3 yard. Practice that 7 yard, or practice the 1 yard, practice the 3 yard, especially short distance. Because that guy, by the time he starts off at 7 yard distance, he's probably, by the time if you do get that gun out, if that gun does come out, you're not going to be 7 yards anymore. You're going to be up close. That's where the hip shot comes in. That's where point shooting comes in. This is where instinctive shooting comes in. Because of someone trying to run at you at that speed, you're probably not going to be able to get the gun up, out of a holster, especially if you have a restraint holster, a jacket, get out the gun, get it ready, aimed, whatever stance you use, sight alignment. That's a lot to do in 2 seconds. You have to be very quick about it. But that's just one thing to consider, folks. Please, I want everyone to know, don't think that just because someone has one of these, it's not as lethal as one of those. A person with a knife, especially determined enough, angry enough, whatever, can do you in very quickly, very fast with one of those. So that being said, have a good day, YouTube.